Welcome to The Critical Path, Project Management and Leadership in Complex Environments. Episode 35, Lead Without Ego, Servant Leadership on the Critical Path, where when a project is under pressure, many project managers feel like they need more control. They attend more meetings, request more reports, question more decisions, and become involved in every detail. It can feel like a strong leadership, but it often slows the team down. Today, we are exploring servant leadership in project management, an approach in which the leader's role is not to dominate the team, but to create the conditions in which the team can perform. Servant leadership is sometimes misunderstood as being passive, avoiding difficult conversations, or simply trying to keep everyone happy. In reality, it requires clarity, courage, and discipline. The servant leader doesn't remove accountability. They make accountability possible. Traditional leadership is often described through hierarchy. The leader sits at the top. Information flows upwards. Instructions flow downwards. And important decisions are concentrated around the people with the greatest formal authority. Servant leadership turns that model around. The project manager still provides direction, establishes governance, and remains accountable for delivery. However, instead of asking, "How can the team support me?" the servant leader asks, "What does the team need from me to succeed?" That distinction changes how a project is managed. A servant leader begins by creating clarity. Teams struggle when priorities are constantly changing, responsibilities are unclear, or different stakeholders are given conflicting instructions. In that environment, even highly capable people can become hesitant and defensive. The project manager serves the team by clarifying the mission, defining decision rights, and connecting individual work packages to the wider project outcome. People should understand not only what they are being asked to deliver, but why it matters and what constraints must be respected. This is particularly important in complex programs. A systems engineer may need to make a technical decision that affects cost. A commercial lead may negotiate a supplier position that influences the schedule. A work stream manager may identify a risk that requires senior escalation. The project manager cannot personally make every technical, commercial, or operational decision. Their responsibility is to ensure that the people closest to the information have sufficient authority, context, and support to make good decisions. Servant leadership is therefore not the absence of control. It's the deliberate design of an effective decision-making system. The second responsibility is removing obstacles. A project manager adds value when they resolve conflicting priorities, obtain missing resources, challenge unnecessary bureaucracy, or bring the right stakeholders together. They should not become another obstacles that the team must manage. Consider a team whose engineering work is falling behind. A controlling project manager may demand daily progress reports and ask the engineers to produce a recovery presentation. A servant leader first investigates what is preventing progress. Perhaps requirements remain unstable. Perhaps specialists are being shared across several programs. Perhaps the approval process takes 3 weeks. More reporting will not solve those problems. It may actually take additional time away from delivery. The servant leader identifies the constraints and uses their influence to remove it. The third responsibility is creating psychological safety around bad news. Projects rarely fail because nobody noticed the emerging problem. They often fail because people didn't feel able to raise it. Believed management did not want to hear it or expected that the messenger would be blamed. Servant leader responds to early warnings with curiosity rather than anger. They ask what has changed, what assumptions are no longer valid, and what support is required. This doesn't mean accepting poor performance without challenge. It means separating the problem from the person long enough to understand the real cause. Once the facts are clear, the leader can establish ownership, agree corrective action, and follow through. Good governance depends on thoughtful information. A project manager who punishes every piece of bad news will eventually receive only good news. And by then, the project may already be in serious difficulty. The fourth responsibility is developing capability rather than creating dependency. A weak project culture requires the project manager to approve everything. A strong culture allows decisions to be made at the appropriate level. One useful real-world leadership example comes from former US Navy Captain David Marquet and his command of the submarine USS Santa Fe. Rather than encouraging crew members to wait for instructions, Marquet promoted an approach in which people stated their intentions and demonstrated that they understood the situation before acting. The principle was not that everyone could do whatever they wanted. Decisions still had to align with the mission, technical constraints, and safety requirements. The difference was that authority moved closer to the information. The lesson for project managers is powerful. Instead of team's member repeatedly asking, "What do you want me to do?" the goal is to develop people who can say, based on the agreed objective, the evidence and the risks, I intend to take this action. That creates ownership. But not only when the leader has provided sufficient clarity and competence. There are also limits to servant leadership. The project manager cannot protect the team from every difficult stakeholder, remove every deadline, or allow unlimited debate. At times, they must make an unpopular decision, challenge poor behavior, reject a request, or escalate a failure. Serving the team doesn't mean giving the team everything it wants. It means giving the team what it needs to deliver responsibly. Sometimes that is additional support. Sometimes it's clearer priorities. Sometimes it's honest feedback. Sometimes it's a firm decision that ends an unproductive discussion. The servant leader is humble about their own expertise, but uncompromising about the project's purpose. They listen before deciding, but they do decide. They empower people, but they verify that controls are working. They protect the team from unnecessary noise, but they don't hide the team from legitimate accountability. That balance is what makes servant leadership effective in project environments. This week, looked at one of your project meetings and ask yourself a simple question. Did your presence help the team think and act more effectively? Or did it make them more dependent on you? Choose one obstacle that is slowing the team down and take ownership of removing it. Clarify one decision that has been waiting unnecessarily for your approval. When someone raises a problem, resist the temptation to react immediately and ask what they need from you. The goal is not to become less involved. It's to become involved where your leadership creates the greatest value. A strong project manager does not try to become the center of every decision. They build a team that can make good decisions without waiting for the center. Just to conclude, servant leadership is not soft leadership. It's leadership without ego. The project manager still sets direction, maintains standards, manages risk and holds people accountable. But they recognize that delivery is achieved through the capacity, better if I say the capability of the team, not through the authority of one individual. The servant leader creates clarity, removes obstacles, encourages honest escalation, and develops people who can act with confidence and responsibility. So, the next time a project comes under pressure, don't immediately ask how you can take more control. Ask a better question. What does the team need from me now to move the project forward? Thanks for listening to The Critical Path, Project Management and Leadership in Complex Environments. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or rate the show on Spotify and share it with colleagues who work where reliability matters most. See you on the next episode of The Critical Path.